then and once you do that, we'll give you the mic and we can then go ahead with whatever questions you have for the team, i.e. the question you've put in there. You see, unfortunately, over 90% of startups fail. And the top three reasons for that are: one, market fit; two, running out of money; and three, not having the right people. So the first reason for failure is the fact that you didn't get to build your product or tech right. And with that in mind, we are here to try and help you succeed. The way this works is that if you are on the live streams, you need to be aware that unfortunately we are unable to monitor your questions live. So if you do want to ask us anything, you will have to join us here on Microsoft Teams. By the way, it's an audio only call, which means you can tune in from anywhere via any platform or device. And the quickest way to actually join us is if you go to our website, startuptoscaleup.club, you click, you first find the session. So scroll down a little bit and you'll find the session, which is today's Product and Tech Q&A 166. You click join. It's a quick registration. That gets you a link to your email. And through that link, you can then join us here on the Microsoft Teams call. By the way, there are no wrong questions and there's no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. So you can ask us anything to do with building your product or tech. But just a quick sort of heads up that if your questions are not related to product or tech, please save them for the other sessions we run. We currently run 6 regular sessions. Mondays it's talent, product and tech, as you can see, it's today on Tuesdays. Wednesdays it's growth. Thursdays it's fundraising. And the second Friday of each month it's UK startup law, and third Friday of each month it's UK startup finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and you can RSVP to any of them via our site, startuptoscaleup.club. Now, without further ado, I think it's time for some quick introductions. My name's Anton Call. I'm an Albanian in London working with startups normally. Right after they get investment, I embed within their teams and help them hire and keep the right people. I also do some growth advisory work with a few other startups and help some angels and family offices with their due diligence and assessments. We can go to Diana, then Bhairav, and then Mario, please.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Diana Mate. I'm a product consultant. I work with startups and mid-sized tech companies, helping them kind of align all the solutions to customer needs. So a lot of the time, helping them actually identify what features would resonate to customers to a way that they would pay for these services. There's a lot of misalignment between building something, but building something customers want is kind of a framework and a process to go through. And that's mainly what I work with founders on. I think that's it.
I'll go next. So, hi Diana. Hi everybody else. My name is Bhairav Patel. I'm the MD for Atom CTO. We provide fractional CTO services to startups and small businesses, mainly working with them to deliver roadmaps, strategies, and execute projects.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Mario Tomic, Croatian, living in Spain. I work as a CTO with non-technical founders, help them with technology, tech leadership, managing teams, building MVPs, hiring agency, hiring developers, firing developers, and so on. Happy to be here. Thank you, Anton.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, all three of you, and really appreciate it. I'm sure you've seen a lot of stuff go on in startup land in terms of things getting done wrong, but also some things that you probably were impressed. So with that in mind, what would you say are one do and one don't that is really important to you when it comes to early stage product or technology? As long as you don't use the same logic or reasoning for both, the floor is yours. So maybe we can, we can go to Diana first, and then we'll just follow the same route for now. So Diana, Bhairav, and Mario, please.
Great. So things that I've seen founders early stage, kind of like common mistakes. A really common one is not being clear on the problem they're solving. So that's like, kind of jumping or getting really attached to a solution, but kind of not being very clear on the assumptions they're making around the audience and the exact problem that they're tackling. Another one kind of linked to the problem is also going for quite generic audiences. So not spending enough time to clearly define the layers of the audiences, or like the different kind of nuances in that. I hate niching in, but I think if you want to go fast and validate, the clearer and the more specific you are, the faster the loop. And the other thing that I see, and that is kind of a mistake, is assuming there's like not testing things early. So for example, there's a lot of commercial things that you can test early. You can test the value proposition, you can test pricing way before you even have a product. So definitely don't just jump to building something. Actually think about what you're trying to validate, and there's different ways to get answers without building. And I guess kind of on the flip side, those are the things that I've seen really good kind of early stage founders do, is separate the different kind of problems or the different questions they have, and then finding ways and reaching out to people and having constant contact and conversations with their target audience, and kind of either building a community or just being really open about it, or just constantly curious about their customers' problems. They're generally the ones that do really well.
And for me, so I'll keep it quite simple. So for the first thing is, one thing to do is to make sure that whenever you're thinking about building something, don't think just about your app. An app is not a business, right? So you need to start thinking a bit wider than just the technology that you want to create, and think more about actual business that you're trying to build and all of the different aspects. So it's not just about delivering an app or a service. You're also looking at things like customer service, marketing, support, all of those different things that you need to do when you're launching a business as a whole. And then one of the things you shouldn't do, or one don't, is to not build too much too quickly. One of the key things that we find is that people try to, build an initial product that does absolutely everything. It's all singing, all dancing, but to be honest, you don't know how your product's going to be accepted in the market. So rather than trying to build something that is 100% feature complete, as Diana says, go out there, test the market, and then iterate over that product. Over to you, Mario.
Thank you. And yes, 100%. I've seen that often, that people overbuilding. And the other that I've seen often, or just kind of misconception about software development, is that software is like going to a store and just buying a thing, right? You just go there and then you select, and now you have it. And then you expect to pay fixed price for it and get like predefined product. And in reality, never like that, because you start building and then you realize that you didn't know what you didn't know, and then you need to pivot, and then what's supposed to be simple became complicated, and so on, right? So software is still bespoke kind of activity, right? So building only one thing, it's not factory still, even with AI and everything, and you need to plan for that. Like your budget needs to be flexible. You need to have more money that you initially planned, because it's probably going to take longer, and it's probably gonna be more expensive. And yeah, I'm not sure if that's do or don't, but yeah, don't expect it to be. Don't expect it to be as you initially planned, because it's not gonna be like that. And for those, yeah, just remove scope, build as little as possible, write as little as possible. Just whatever is out there, try to use it, try to integrate instead of building from scratch. Basically, think about yourself as an integrator rather than builder, and just build as little as possible. So that's, I'm not sure this again is do or don't, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now.
Fair enough. That's good enough. Thank you very much, all three of you. Really appreciate that. That's some very useful do's and don'ts. We've got some questions in the chat, so we will give them the mic. I believe, Zara, you should be audible. Can you hear us? All right, let me make you a presenter instead, because I think the reason why you are not audible is because you might be on a browser. So that should help. Right, Zara, are you able
Hello.
to speak?
Yeah, now I can
Hi.
unmute myself. Yeah, hi.
That's right.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you very much
Yeah.
for joining us. Please introduce yourself quickly and then fire away with your question.
Yeah, just to introduce myself, I'm a startup founder. I'm developing my startup is developing mobile video games, and I'm prototyping my first game currently, prototyping and testing, and also trying to use as many AI tools as possible. So I've got two questions here regarding testing without building. So that's the mistake I have made myself so far. So I started developing the product without testing, without even validating the idea or anything. So I just thought, okay, it's a great idea, I'm going to build. So I built, I tested. First test wasn't great. Second was, promising. Now I'm in the middle of doing the third one, and so on. So my question is, in general, I mean, it's product specific, how you test, in which markets you test, what methods you use. But perhaps, when it comes to apps, maybe you have some more specific answers, or if you don't, could you just again provide generic answer, maybe how to test without building, if you just have the idea, how you go about testing, what methods, tools you use, and in which markets you test. So that's my first question. And then the second question is, what AI automation tools, if any, you have used or you know of that could be useful, that you could recommend us to use in testing and in general, producing our products, making our products. I think these days AI is becoming more and more involved in daily life as well in production life. So it would be good to get some AI tools recommended by you if you have tried and tested them. Thank you.
It's a very good question, Zara, and thank you very much for bringing those up. In terms of the second part, just before I take you to the techies here and the product experts, in terms of the second part, when you say automation, obviously we're talking about your app here, right? Do you want to maybe shed a bit more light what you're trying to do with the app? You don't have to give us trade secrets, but so that they have a better idea.
Yes, the app is a gaming app. So for certain type of audience to play, it's an entertainment product. Yeah, it's a gaming app. In terms of automation, for example, I'm now trying to use some AI tools to automate my art production pipeline. So if it's a video game, as you can imagine, you need to have graphics, you have characters, your user interface looks in a specific way, you have specific artistic style, and so on. So I have used, for example, Midjourney as a generative AI tool. Now I'm experimenting with others. There are some great tools now. So, and it's saving me a lot of money. Otherwise I would have had to have like several artists working for me to produce the art I want.
And this is fashion, isn't it?
Yeah, fashion, yes. And
yeah,
exactly. And it's content heavy. So therefore, yeah, AI is a lifesaver for me these days in many regards. So yeah, art production, generative AI is one one use case in my particular business. But I'm also
what are you building? Sorry, I'm sorry, Con.
Yeah, I was going to say that I'm also trying to use AI in producing marketing materials like user-generated content for social media, for advertising. Like there are tools that you can subscribe, you give details of your product, and it just generates, ads with real people, but that's AI generated. You probably know TikTok is flooded with those kinds of ads that do really well, and not just ads, but as a social media content that you can use to promote your product. So that's another use case for me in terms of using AI tools to generate user-generated content for social media and for advertising. Yeah, I know there are AI tools for QA. If it's an app or any kind of tech product, you need to do quality assurance. So I haven't tried those yet, but I've heard there are some.
I hear you. That's why I wanted to ask the next two questions quickly. Number one, how long are you from having an MVP and having this, let's say, I don't know, go to App Store or wherever you're launching it first? And secondly, what are you building it on, Zara?
Yeah, so the third iteration of the prototype, it's already in the app stores, both Google Play and Apple Store. And I'm building on Unity engine. So that's one of the biggest engines for game production, yeah.
And are you using any particular languages? Or
yeah, so Unity engine uses C#. That's the language underlying the engine, yeah.
Okay, well, that is brilliant. Thank you very much for that. How about this? I think the first person that unmuted was Mario. So Mario can go first, and then we can go on to Diana for a more product side, and then go to Bhairav again for more tech. Take it away.
Thank you. So just about AI and what to use and how to use it. It's very interesting, that it's first kind of dev tool that's being pushed from management to developers, and like on literally all the team I've been working on, founders are like, oh, let's use more AI, let's use AI. And developers are kind of, well, yeah, okay, cool, but adoption is they're kind of resisting it in a way, right? So everyone's using AI to code. But I think there's like this misconception about, okay, now we're gonna use, Cursor or whatever, and we're gonna have 10 times better productivity that we had. We're gonna ship features way faster than before, right? And that's false assumption, because building software is not about typing, right? It's not typing exercise. It's mostly thinking exercise, right? And there's a lot of good AI tooling, and AI tooling should be integrated in workflows and in developer workflows, right? But if you as a founder coming to this call and asking, what tools my developers should be using to be more productive, what AI tools they should be using, then the question is, why they're not using those tools on their own, and why do you think you would be able to select tools for them, right? And the fact is, they're probably already using them, right? And if they
Mario,
don't have
Zara's building this herself, Mario, if I'm not mistaken. Zara, you said the other day you taught yourself.
Yes, I'm building. Yeah, I'm building it myself. Yeah, so far I've used contractors. Yeah, I've used contractors, but I've run out of money, so I'm doing it myself now. And again, AI is helping me a lot with code. Me not being a coder or any technical background, so I'm now coding. ChatGPT is helping me. Claude 4.5. So these are brilliant tools. Without those, I would have just been stuck forever, not being able to move forward. So for someone like me, who is a solo founder, now has no cash at all, to pay someone to do it, these sort of tools are just a lifeline to be able to continue and also to learn. So yeah, if I had like 2 developers, I'm sure they would know what they need to use. I wouldn't need to tell them. And I'm doing also my own research. I also know a lot of tools, but I was just wondering, maybe some that I don't know that you could recommend. I could give it a try, which might turn out to be better than the ones I'm using. So that's the purpose of the question. Yeah.
And by the way, guys, if you can't think of any tools, don't worry about it. Just say pass and focus on the other questions. So it's totally fine to say that as well.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So what I personally use, I use GitHub Agent and integration with GitHub, and I find it really useful because I can write a ticket, and it will send me pull request, and then I just accept it and or tell him like, okay, no, I don't like this. Here's my revision, and it goes back and code for 1 hour and comes back with a pull request. So that's, I think,
Mario,
what
do you mean
goes into
GitHub
my
Copilot? When you say GitHub agent, do you mean the Copilot or
right.
this is
But right, Copilot, but Copilot, which is integrated with GitHub, like is agentic mode,
Yes.
right? So you kind of
Yeah,
give it a ticket, and it goes back in the background and just codes on a GitHub and sends you back pull request after 1, 2, 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of
Okay.
thing. That's for me. That if you want tools, but if you're a real beginner, if you're really starting from scratch, I would probably start with very simple, copy paste from because those things produce a lot of code, right? And then like validating is that everything that you wanted, and it gives you ask for one thing and gives you 21 things, and then you need to realize what those other 20 things are, and you just ask for one thing, and that becomes like very bloated code base and a lot of things that you don't know. And then after 3 months, you don't know what's going on here, because they produce a lot of code. They're very chatty, those tools, right? So it's kind of tricky as a non-technical founder, because you soon end up on a massive code base, and you don't really know what it does, right? And
so you mean like it can
generate
over time add technical debt, to your project? That's what you mean?
Yeah, because they're just building it on like I say, can you start with Kafka, and can you start with this, and then it went really and startup scripts and this and that, and you end up with something really huge, and it's kind of working 85%. You need to debug it, but it's kind of on the level that you might not need. You just overdone it, right? And that's when I see like non-technical founders starting with AI tools. That's the biggest problem that you might have. They're just overdoing it, and then in 6 months you just have a bunch of work, bunch of things there that you don't know what they are, and you need to start removing and just like this is good, but like I don't need it. This is also good, but I don't need it, right? So you need to be very specific about what you need to build. And if you're building logic, maybe start with telling it to generate test first, and then telling it, okay, now you have this test. Can you write me code that fulfill the test? To make sure that it kind of scope it down. If you just give it very broad prompt, in 3 months you're just going to have gigantic code base, and you won't have any idea how it works and how to fix it, because you'll have to do those 20% on your own. But 20% on a huge code base might be more than you would have initially if you build it from scratch yourself.
Yeah. So I think what I'm doing, I'm not actually building from scratch, because I already have, I have the product already, and I have the base code, the source code and everything. What I'm doing now is, because I'm iterating, I'm adding additional features. So I'm asking it to, for example, code up a certain feature for me. So I'm being specific. It's nothing generic. I'm just telling, okay, now I need the game to do this and this, or change so and so in the game.
Right.
And that's how I'm iterating now. So not creating the architecture and the code from scratch, because I already have it. It's been done already.
Okay.
It's brilliant.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Mario. Diana, on a product point, especially on the first question that Zara put,
Yes.
in terms of testing it even before you build something, I'm sure you've got some good nuggets there. So what would you do if you were
So
Zara
I think,
right now?
well, I think definitely you gave a lot of context around what your product is, and it's interesting around. I think for me, it's what would be really useful is to kind of separate what questions are you trying to validate. Of course, if you want to validate whether people are going to use this and really enjoy it, then you have to build it. But there's probably ways in which you can break off the different questions. For example, what is the main reason why you think customers would actually enjoy the game? Is there like specific differentiators? So there's ways in which you can test out your value proposition by maybe creating a landing page and then tracking people's, like signing up to this because they think that the idea or the story or whatever you think that is going to differentiate compared to all the other games out there in that theme. So that's kind of like one way in which you're getting validation that your idea is different enough and resonates with the audience. I know the easiest thing to say is, create a landing page and throw it out there, because you have to find the traffic and the audience to get to that. That's the hardest part. So I think any communities where you're already kind of understanding what are the the gaps, what is missing from the current games. There are all ways in which you can get more validation of actually what elements should the game have. The other one is whether you can do some sort of like maybe short, like maybe you only test out a specific stage with people, or like, again, is it the story that you think is going to attract them? Is it the characters? Is it whatever you think is going to get people hooked? That's the one you have to think, okay, how do I best land that message to get a view on whether, yes, this actually is really, really good for them. And depending on that, the landing page is one, maybe you do like a one chapter game that is like 10 minutes game, and then you'll see the reaction afterwards, or you kind of want to just split it out depending on what you think you're differentiating. So yeah,
Okay.
hopefully
Thank
that gives you some answers. And I know you say you're doing a lot of ads as well, but the ads will be more for like gauging interest. But if you have specific things you want to validate on the interaction, you might have to build versions of it, or yeah, I think research and talking to customers is also like you get so much insights from that. Even if it's at a smaller scale, you get a lot more qualitative to then guide you into what elements are actually resonating. And then once you get the elements that are resonating, bring them to life in the different communities.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Bhairav, what would you do here? If you want, you can take an approach of both product and tech, but I'll give you the mic.
I mean, personally, there's not huge amounts to add in that. I mean, I guess what I can say is that from a C# perspective, when you're looking at some of the AI toolings out there, that we're finding that it's not as good for something like C# as like React or Python, simply because I would assume that what's out there it was trained on wasn't as good as the kind of huge libraries that you get out there with or huge amounts of code that sits out there with Python and React. And as I definitely echo what Mario said, in the sense that what we have found is that you can get responses from the likes of Claude or ChatGPT, but it may not be the best or the most efficient code that you're putting in, even if it's small tweaks. And we've seen that when we've been looking at refactoring some bits and pieces and just tested out various LLMs and found that actually it's not providing us with the best solutions. There are better solutions, but then, to be honest, you're at that stage now where you've got no money. If it works, right? And you can worry about the issues when you scale, right? And when you're actually getting some money in. So, but just be aware that that's something that will be there.
Sure.
From an AI testing point of view, we haven't. I mean, we did a bit kind of a sweep of some tools way back, but a lot of what we found is that with the kind of projects we work on, they tend to be a bit more complicated in that you need to have initial kind of thought process and manual, and the automation we do variously through Playwright, really. So it's kind of actual writing of automation test cases. So it might be that you can use AI to generate your automated test cases that you can plug into your pipelines, rather than like an external tool that will just rather than an external tool, they'll do the testing for you. Because I think that's probably a better way of doing it, because there'll be complexities in what you're trying to do, right, that AI won't necessarily see.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much to all three of you. In terms of the testing, I mean, you got some real good stuff from the panelists here, Zara. But what I would do is I would go extremely niche in terms of two customer personas. Number one, obviously, I'm assuming this is going to be a B2C. So maybe via the likes of Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, TikTok, and maybe even Snapchat. But at least those other four. And try to identify, I don't know, maybe about 100 people or so that you can send a message and say, look, I'd love to pick your brains. But obviously you've got to go based on what they post, maybe on the hashtags that they use. And there isn't enough time for me now to go through that kind of customer journey with you to identify those, right? But I'm assuming you do know who your ideal customer is and so on. But you've got to be extremely, extremely niche about it. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
and try and find about 100 that you can send messages and just say, look, I'd love to pick your brains for just 5 minutes. Maybe if you can think of something that you can give to them in return, that would obviously be even more helpful. That's one. The other side is I am a huge fan of partnerships, as in, go-to-market partnerships, Sarah.
Yeah.
And I believe
Yeah.
standing on the shoulders of giants is one of the best things startups can do. So
Yeah, I agree.
maybe exactly. So maybe try and identify about 100 organizations that have a ton of customers who are who could be your customers. But obviously they're not doing what you're doing. So just for argument's sake, you could go to somebody like Next and say, look, what I'm doing will save you so much money because you'll get less returns because people can go and do this gamification here, and it means that they're more likely to buy the right thing rather than the wrong thing, or I don't know, however, whatever kind of benefit you want to find, right? And just say, look, I've got this that I'm working on. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to pick your brains as a specialist in the field. And, if you reach out to 100 plus people, if you're lucky, you'll speak to 5, but those 5 will be absolute gold for 2 reasons. One, they're likely to know the market way more and way better than you or I, or, like, let's call us civilians would, right? And 2, guess what happens? After you've built this, you can go back to them and say, hi, Diana, at Next, we spoke a few weeks or months ago when I was, still reiterating with this app. I'm very grateful for the advice you gave me, and I've actually built it with you in mind. Would you like to give it a try and test it? And if that person tests it, it's no longer a cold sales call anymore, right? So they already know you. They already feel like they've had an investment and an input, and they are way more likely to then kind of use this. And maybe, I don't know how you do it, whether you find a way for them to spread the word for free or some kind of payment, or whatever it is, but you'll be more likely to get an increase on your market that way. That's what I would do in terms of testing. And I think, it's the kind of thing I would do yesterday, not even today. Before you build anything else, focus on that. Literally before you write or build or copy or whatever, a single line of code or advertising content, or nothing, forget it. I would just focus on this. This is your primary job today, because nothing is as important as you getting some kind of market fit. And nobody can get market fit without really speaking to customers first. So I mean, it's brilliant what you've done. I'm really impressed, in terms of kind of not just being put off that, I haven't got money now and I don't know how to code. You've gone out there and you've done what most women do, just bust the bleeding thing and not stop. And that is brilliant and commendable. But I would ask you, if I were you, I would stop everything else and focus on those 2 sort of customer bases to check with them first.
Okay, thank you very much.
I hope you found it helpful, and please do feel free to join us again.
Yes.
Would love to hear from you and on your progress. Rightio, a quick reset of the conversation, then we'll go on to some more questions. This is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 166. We've been doing these for over 4 years, and today we're trying to help people build your early stage product or tech, whether that is literally from product roadmap to your design, to your prototype, to your testing, to maybe automation, tech debt, full stack, landing pages, apps, low to no codes, and all that jazz. There literally are no wrong questions, and there's no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. Now, for those of you that are on the live streams, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, unfortunately, we can't monitor your questions there live. So if you do want to ask our amazing panelists anything, you'll have to join us here on Microsoft Teams. Quickest way to do that is to go to our website, startup2scaleup.club. You scroll down a little bit, you'll see Startup Product and Tech Q&A 166. You click join, it's a quick registration. That gets you a link to your email, and through that link, you can then join us here on Microsoft Teams. It's audio only, which means you can tune in from anywhere via any platform or device. And when you're here, you can then drop your question like Zara did. And also, we're going to go next to Tawanda, who asked the next question. Once you've dropped the question there, we'll give you the mic. You can then take the floor, introduce yourself quickly, and fire away with your question. If, however, your questions today are not on product or tech, please save them for the other conversations we run. Monday's talent, Tuesday's product and tech, Wednesday's growth, Thursday's fundraising, second Friday of each month is UK Startup Law, and third Friday of each month it's UK Startup Finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. They're all available via our website, startup2scaleup.club. And you can actually register again via our website and pick whichever you prefer. And actually, when you're there, what you may also want to do is look at our WhatsApp community. We've got an icon, a WhatsApp icon at the top and bottom of the website where you can join and ask us questions. Actually, my apologies, Tawanda, but I've just noticed it's Karthik who'd asked the question before you. So let's go to Karthik quickly, and then we'll go on to yourself. Karthik, are you audible? Can you hear us? Okay. Yes. Can you please ask the question that you put in the chat then? First introduce yourself and then ask the question. Okay, I've now made you a presenter, so now you should be able to speak, because maybe you joined via a browser. Do you want to try the mic now? Okay, that's not working. Let me read it out loud then for the live streams. Hi, glad to join the meet. I'm new to startup stuff, exploring for just 3 weeks, zero knowledge on how to start and where to start. My startup idea is a tech-based kind of cloud services, providing access to GPU specifically for AI enthusiasts. How can I raise pre-seed funds for building an MVP? Right, this is more of a question on the fundraising, and we have a room specifically for that on Thursday. We'll have some amazing investors joining us on the platform, Karthik, and would love to go through that with you. But as a rule of thumb, in order to raise funding for just to build an MVP, unless you have either got some kind of success with another startup and you've had a successful exit, or you've raised millions, that is next to impossible in my experience. So probably you might want to start finding an angel investor, or maybe look at somebody who's done something similar and they have recently exited a company, which means that they have some money to put into it as well. And then I would look at some kind of an accelerator. But in my experience with the current situation out there, to build an MVP, it's, you know, for somebody who hasn't got a big track record, it's next to impossible. But please do join us on Thursday. And if you're audible, would love to go into it a bit more, a bit deeper. So Tawanda, are you on now? Are you able to talk? Okay, let me give Tawanda a presenter seat. Tawanda, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Anton?
Yes, we can, buddy. Please introduce yourself quickly and fire away with your question.
Hi, I'm Tawanda. I'm a founder of a company, TCCL, which basically offers a fractional service, a fractional CTO, CMO, and COO. And the question that I would like to ask is, love to your thoughts on the idea. I'm currently developing or building business applications for SMEs, and I'm using Zoho Creator and the Zoho Creator suite of tools, especially Vertical Studio, as the foundation, and then layering AI, MCPs, and automated workflows for things like email handling, invoice generation, and compliance management. Now, the goal for me is to deliver enterprise-grade functionality at a fractional cost by leveraging low-code plus automation. What potential pitfalls or challenges should we be aware of before scaling this approach?
Oh, that is amazing. Well, let's start putting Bhairav on the hot seat first, to maybe get both a product and tech perspective. And then we'll go on to Diana for a kind of maybe stronger product perspective. And last but not least, from a tech point of view, we'll go on to Mario. Bhairav.
Yeah, so Tawanda, is this are you doing specific custom applications for SMEs, or are you building something generic that you have multiple SMEs?
That is correct. They're basically custom solutions based around the business.
Okay, I mean, so we've worked with companies before that have tried to do the same thing, and it can work and it can work quite well. But I guess where you hit the issues are with most low-code, no-code platforms, there are certain things that you can't end up doing, right? Because certain functions and features that, as things get more complex, you can't necessarily build within the platform, and then you either have to get out of the no-code environment, or you end up start building things on the side, like assume that you've started doing with the AI bit. So just be aware you'll hit certain limitations. The other thing is obviously going to be, if you ever come across like a decent sized SME, you're going to look at all of the due diligence that perform on you, right? So a lot of, let's say for example, one of the clients that we work with was using Bubble, and ultimately they ended up having to go to the enterprise level of Bubble, which then obviously has that knock-on impact to your costs, and then does that then kill your business model, because you need more control over your infrastructure and the data. The other thing that I think, if you're looking at AI MCPs, you're just increasing your threat, your threat footprint. So you've got to, how well are you taking care of security? And given that you've got lots of different things going on in there, you've got lots of different vectors of attack, right? Then again, so I think for me, the things that you need to look at aren't necessarily just technical, right? They're going to be data privacy, data control. If you've got SMEs that are relying on your products, what happens if things go wrong? Who do you call if there's an issue with A, server, or B, if there's one of your service providers goes down, do you have redundancy built in? So it's more kind of infrastructure architecture and business continuity, those kinds of things that you need to think about, really. I mean, you could do all of what you're doing, which is fine, but you need to layer on that as a precursor. You need to make sure that what you're building takes all of that into account. And if there's if you're co-locating data, is that going to be acceptable for your clients? There's a bunch of stuff which is a bit more, let's say, non-technical, more admin or compliance or governance that you need to think about.
Okay, understood.
Thank you very much, Bhairav. And just before we go to the others, and maybe this is a question for everyone. Now, in the past, I've started businesses and was involved in getting people to do websites. And one of the things that worked really, really well, I mean, this is donkey years ago, was to build, let's say, first decides which industries to go into. And let's say we pick dentistry and construction, right? And what we then did is we would go to these dentists and say, we are and I know this sounds almost like scamming, but it's not. So we would say, we will build you a custom made and tailored to your requirements website. But instead, what we did beforehand, we would build pretty much 5 websites that were as opposite and as different to each other as you could possibly do. And then based on what that dentist wanted, we would pick the two that were most likely, and we would say, here they are. As far as the client was concerned, they thought they were getting something literally built as they spoke, but instead we had something ready-made so that we wouldn't need to spend a ton of time. Is that something that can be done for this? Bhairav or Mario, whoever wants to pick this?
I mean, the idea that you can build something enterprise ready in a fraction of cost and fraction of time, that's kind of, I mean, it's insulting in a way, right? Because, I mean, if you can do it in a fraction of cost, fraction of time, why it's not there already, right? I mean, there's a reason why enterprise software is enterprise software, because, you know, you need to have all those edge cases covered on top of the security and data and all of that stuff that you have. But like, you know, there's so many details on a specific business process that are encoded in each company, right? And just the idea that you can run that through LLM and that it's gonna work, I mean, it's just naive, right? So that's not how it works, right? And it cannot work. It can work for some cases, on very generic cases. So what you probably want to do here is you want to make a proof of concept, make it work in a really, you know, very limited, controlled kind of problem that you can present. Okay, so this is what it should work, and then build it differently, right? Build it in a way that really, you know, you need to code that thing. You cannot just kind of wiggle through LLMs to get to it, because, you know, you're talking about basically expressing in text, in plain text, all the complexities of the one company and then hundreds other companies, right?
Sorry to cut you off, right? I think what you're describing is vibe coding. What I'm trying to do, right, is I actually have 6 developers on my team, and even though they're remote, they work for me directly. So I'm not using LLM to create the code. What I'm trying to do.
I'm not saying you're using LLM to create code. I'm just saying you like just expecting that LLM, because what all those MCPs are at the end, they're just producing like you using AI tools to solve your business problems, right? And let's take one example. Let's take, for example, compliance, right? So what it would do then at the end, like you need to analyze some documents to realize are they compliant or not. Let's imagine that use case, right? So, you know, how are we gonna do that? Like through you know, like layering out just prompts to do it for you, right? So there has to be like real software there doing real work, indexing those documents, querying them. There needs to be databases for it. There need to be indexes. There will be this and that. A lot of machinery there that you cannot escape if you want to build something enterprise ready, right? You cannot just skip that, because there's reason why those things exist. There's reason why we have them in the first place, because we need to solve and enterprise, meaning each company is slightly different than another. There's not 2 identical companies, right? So what works for one company, you cannot just replicate for another. So it's kind of, you know, maybe, you know, I'm not sure, maybe I misunderstood what you wanted to build, but it feels like you're oversimplifying the problem that you have to solve. That's my kind of, that's my take on it.
Okay.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Diana, from a product point of view, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think from my product point of view, sounds like you might be doing some sort of, I know it's enterprise software, but you might be doing some sort of consultancy, bespoke solutions for them. But I think with bespoke solutions, like everyone covered a lot of the tech issues, but you ultimately end up like, what's the cost? So you have to work out the pricing system that actually will give you the level of fractional cost for the amount of stuff you promise them. So you want to match that, the features, the level of customization, because I thought that generally like building more SaaS type. So coming back to Anton's point is make it specific to the industry, to be like, okay, those SMEs, who's a target audience? I think it's still really, really important to create an early customer profile which is,
Mhm.
okay, who are we going after as like a subset of the type of SMEs, and try and get them as similar as possible. So then your use cases or the stuff you're building it's customized, but maybe can be reused in a way that, you know, your pricing actually is a fraction of the cost, providing them with this level of depth of the features. I also think with AI tools and everything is like, yeah, it might be really easy to make it initially. How much will it cost to get it exactly how they want it? And you could easily go into that trap of overly customizing. And how do you actually maintain that over time and customize it later, and the cost that you're actually able to maintain it to a really good level. So I think, yeah, I would definitely do a lot of research on kind of like, or maybe you create tiers for the different kind of, okay, this is your entry level tier or basic tier if you want this level of functionality. But I definitely think, especially when building this type of solutions with AI, you can easily end up in a place where it's just not cost effective, as you kind of add the layers of understanding of the customer. So the closer they are in needs, I think the better it's going to be.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Tim. Tawanda, just a quick one. Did you manage to go? There was a massive Zoho event either in Birmingham or Manchester last few months. I was really gutted that I couldn't go. Did you manage to go?
I didn't, unfortunately. I've been underestimating the power of Zoho, and I think I also I'm using the term enterprise very, very loosely as well. That's what I've
Loosely,
realized. Yeah, that's what I've realized as well. But I have since been communicating with Zoho, and I'm working on being a Zoho partner. So
It seems like they have a big ecosystem, especially in the Indian subcontinent. So maybe try and find people that are already doing well there and join their, I don't know, like you said, you've spoken to them, speak to their partnerships people and so on, because I've heard they do a lot to help people that they eventually end up working with. So maybe
yeah,
try
no, I mean,
that.
I spent 3 months in India, and I just came from there. That's why I'm now a big Zoho fan.
I hear.
Okay.
Good man. Well, thank you very much, and please do feel free to join us again. Tim, we are 2 minutes away from shutting shop. Have we got time for another question that I put in the chat, or do you need to run? I love your enthusiasm. Okay, well, let's wrap it up. Some parting words. Diana?
Yeah, I think from my side, it's I think it's identify the questions or the differentiators that you have or you think you have, and break it down into ways in which you can get that validation directly from your target users. So that in that way, you waste as much time and effort as possible.
Thank you. I'm assuming you meant you waste as little time as possible, but yep. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Second, that's all right. Let's go on to Baivara, and last but not least, Mario, please.
Yeah, so I guess for me,
I'm sorry, buddy. I got
No
your
worries.
name wrong. I'm sorry. I meant Bairav.
No issues. I guess for me, one of the things I'm seeing, and obviously what's coming out in this conversation as compared to the last one I did a few months back, is people are using obviously more AI within their systems. I think, which is great. It's good. It helps people get moving quicker. But I think it's always very important to ensure and you understand whether the amount of time you're spending fiddling around with AI is actually worth the time, or you could actually get someone else to use it in a more efficient manner. B, that what you're actually getting out of it is the right thing. Is it differentiating you in the market? Are you actually getting something that is maintainable if you're looking at a code perspective? And then also, AI does add in a whole new set of threats, and there, as with the constant change in AI, you get the constant threat change. So just be aware of, it may help you, but it may also bring in a lot more other issues.
Here, thank you very much. And last but not least, Mario.
Yeah, and I agree with what was just said. And I mean, but it's still, people are coming to the market and seeing opportunities that have not been addressed, and trying to get there as soon as possible. I think AI kind of enabled a lot of founders to get there sooner, to get there, to get to the point where, market tells them, okay, there's something here, I'm interested, and I want to hear more, kind of thing. And then, they just need to build it, right? So I don't believe with AI you can build a long-standing product, but you can build amazing MVP, amazing proof of concept, right? And that's enough for a lot of use cases. And then, when you validate it and you see, okay, there's something here, someone wants to buy it, someone wants to use it, then you end up having a product that's just kind of assisted with AI, but it's not built with AI, and just, doesn't work like that yet, at least.
You know what? One quick question. How long, in terms of years, just tell me the number, before you think we'll have a solopreneur who is non-tech and hasn't used other people that will become a unicorn? So simply using AI to build whatever the F they may decide, how many years you think we're far from? Mario, just give me a number.
I mean, it can be tomorrow if they figure out the problem that's so obvious and easy to solve that nobody solved, right? If you have a problem that, I mean,
not a politician's
right,
answer, just we're talking technically. Technically, how long do you think is AI away from that?
I don't see it.
Okay, Bhairav?
Yeah, again, it's hard to see at the moment. Not for one person
Diana?
to do all of it.
Maybe I'm being more positive. Maybe loads of changes will happen. It's like, I don't know, 5 years? I don't know.
Okay, we have this recorded.
Well, I don't really know. Obviously, I think all these agents, because I started the same thing, and it's like, I think it's a slippery slope, because as you said, guys, the code just is massive, and then it's like, okay, what are you actually trying to do with this? But I think there's a lot of iteration processes way quicker. So I think if you're methodical around it, maybe at some point, again, it has to be like a combination of loads of things being right. But you see a lot more people now having businesses and launching it a lot faster and a lot leaner teams, which I think is really exciting, because you have that perfect combo of like maybe 6 to 10 people and you're all making millions. So then it's like that one person, I don't really know. I think that's like way harder, but there's been a lot of change recently, so who knows? That's my
You know what? I actually agree with you on that positive note, because I think we will, I mean, anything could go wrong, obviously, but I think we will see those sooner than we think with the arrival of AI. And on that note, I am extremely grateful to all three of you and your absolutely amazing nuggets, the golden advice that you threw our way today. So thank you. We are now 4 minutes over the line, but two quick things before my parting words. Number one, if you do want to join our other sessions, we run 6 regular events. Mondays it's talent, Tuesdays product and tech, Wednesdays it's growth, Thursdays it's fundraising, second Friday of each month it's UK startup law, and third Friday of each month it's UK startup finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. You can register to any of them via our website, startup2scaleup.com. And actually, when you're there, you may also want to join our WhatsApp community. We've got some amazing groups where you can tune in and connect with your fellow founders. You can connect with our panelists. You can send questions ahead of each Q&A. You can discuss topics that were touched on after Q&A, or get help, you know, in the future, and all that jazz. And actually, what I'm also going to do, I'm going to just post on here in the chat a link for a specific group on product and tech that we've created. And as far as my parting words, just remember, the startup journey can be both exciting but also quite challenging. So try to have some fun in the meantime and be kind to yourself and everyone else for that matter too. Otherwise, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for Startup Growth, where we've got some amazing growth people that will hopefully help you grow your business and sell it. That is at 12 o'clock, and you can RSVP, of course, via our website, startup2scaleup.club. But otherwise, thank you. Have a great afternoon, and God bless you all. Bye-bye for now.